Hello, hi, and welcome to the second video of our Access series, of our Microsoft Access series. Last time we talked about creating tables for our database. If you do not know what a table is, check out the video about it. I have put it on my channel. There should be a playlist, Microsoft Access, or just simply Access, or there should be a playlist somewhere around your window here. I don't know exactly how YouTube works. So, yeah, we have those three tables prepared. We have one table with languages that is a collection of unique languages like English, German, Russian, Spanish, and so on and so on. And every language has a unique identifier. This unique identifier here is called the primary key because every language has a different one. We have the same for shops. Every shop, here you see it, every shop has a name, which is not the primary key. So we can have multiple ones with the same name, but we have a shop ID that is unique. So right now our shop number 2 is the name is Mars, and it's in the Broadway number 7. Right? That's with the shops. This unique key, this primary key, if you go to the design mode here, design view, you can see which one is the primary key, right? The one here with the little key next to it. So that's our shops, and the last thing is we want our movies. And our movies, of course, we have a primary key again, which is the movie ID. Every new movie that we are going to add, let's add one that is Samson's the movie. Right, good old Samson's. It was released a couple of years ago, actually. There, doesn't matter. And it is in some language, and we bought it in some shop. But you see, this one, of course, has a new movie ID that is unique, right? So if I go to my design mode, bottom right here, you see the movie ID should be the primary key that is unique. We talked about this in the last video. So that's what we have. Now, what is pretty bad about this, let's go back to our datasheet view, is that I can put in the language for each movie manually. So I could write, for example, if this is Russian, I have the problem that, Die Soft came out in German, and I want this should also be in German, right? The second one. What you can see, I made a spelling mistake, and the tool just says, hey, that's perfectly fine because you told me this language field here is a short text. So you can do whatever you want in this short text field. We can put whatever text we want in there. The same with the shop, right? I can do whatever I want to those fields, which I don't want to. This language field here, those entries, they should always be linked to our language table, right? So because here are all our languages that are available for movies. It's the same for shops. So for shops, I don't want to put in the shop manually each time because I could make mistakes, spelling mistakes. The shop could not even exist. The shop could have moved, stuff like this. So we want this here to actually look on shops. We want this here, the language, to actually look on table languages. This is so-called relationships. Tables have relationships, they talk to each other, right? So we will have to define relationships for those tables. That's how it's called, for those tables. So here we go. The only problem we have right now is this movies. Right here, this movies, let's go back to the design view, has the language as a short text. Short text means we can put in a short text. We do not want this. We want a short text in there, this will come later on, but we want this to look into this table here and actually choose one of these IDs. So if we have a movie, I actually want this movie to be in Russian, then the entry should say here, this is the ID, the unique ID number 3, right? So there should actually be a 3 in here. And for German, there should be a 2, right? Later on, we will make sure that this is then translated for the user into the word. But for now, we actually want to look into this table here and look which ID are we talking about. So, and the same for shops. We have shop number 1, 2, 3. We want the movie to be available in shop 2, 3, 1, something like this, right? Or also 3, doesn't matter. Therefore, I want to make, let me delete those right now. I want to make relationships. Right? I want to make relationships, but not through names as this one here, not through text, but through numbers, right? Through numbers. So what we need to do for our movies is we need to go to the design view, boop, and change this language here and the shops not to a short text, but to also this identifier, to the number that we get from another table. So let's go here and let's choose number for the shop. Perfectly fine, that worked. Some data may be lost. The size of one or more fields has changed to a shorter size. Because we went from a text that is like 255 symbols, the standard, to a number that is just a number, I think three digits also. I don't know how long it is. Are you sure you want to do this? Yes, I know what I'm doing. That's perfectly fine. So now the shop is actually type number. The shop is type number. So if I go back to my datasheet view, I cannot add a text here. Right? The value you entered does not match the data type. We can only type in numbers. But what we can still do is shop number 5. If I go to my shops, we only have 1, 2, 3. This is something we will do in a minute. The second thing, the languages. So back to our design view, the languages, I also want this of type number, because it should relate to our language list. So if I save, it's going to ask me the same. Hey, the size of the field changed. You might lose data. I know, yes. And now it actually tells me you will definitely use data. The content of fields in one records were deleted. Because in one field, we still had Russian. If you remember, I can't go back there right now because this is in the way. Actually, we can't do this. For one movie, we still had, we still had Russian in there as the short text. Yeah, I know. No, German. So this German will be deleted automatically because we're changing the type to number. That's perfectly fine. This is what we want right now. So number, I save. Yes, I know some data may be lost. And yes, I know that this will be lost. So let's go to our datasheet view. And you see language 3 and 2, they are still there because they have been of type number. But here was German in before. It's lost because, hey, this text field could not be translated to a language, to a number. Good. The next thing, so we are talking now about relations. This was just something we needed to do because we want to relate to the different tables. So let's delete those here just to be sure. What we want to do now is we have everything prepared. So this language should be a number. Whoops, not a large, just a number, thank you. And it relates, so this language here, it is relating to, if we go to our table language, to one of these entries with the specific number. That's what we want to do. To do this, we have to go into relationship management. If I go to database tools, right? Datenbanken tools in German, database tools, there is the so-called relationships. Right? Relationships. And if I click on it, a pop-up window will open. Right? A pop-up window will open, or the window will directly open here. And now we can choose our tables that we actually want to make relations about. So I can drag in language here, I can drag in movies, I can drag in shops. Right? If we don't want to do it like this, right? I don't know, don't want to. We have to close all these first. You can press on the X. You can also right click on one of those tables and say close all. And if I do relationships now, there should actually be a pop-up window. I don't know why the pop-up window doesn't show up, but okay. Let's do it just like this. Language, movies, and shops. Right? So there we want those relationships now. We want to put them in. So right now, we have the movies as our central database, as our central table, actually. All of this is in the same database, but all of them are separate tables. And what I can do now is the movies have this language here, right? So I can select the language, and where do those movies get the language from is the following. I can just drag and drop. You see it? I can say, hey, this comes from the shops. That's not what I want. This comes from the language table. So I just drop it here on language ID. Boop. Pop-up window will open. And it says, which one do you want to link? Language ID. So language ID, yes, that's what I want. We could also directly link the language, but that's not what we want. Should be linked to language, the one we drag and dropped. Well, we could also choose any other thing. But of course, we want to link the language from the movie to a language ID of our table language. And there is now the relationship type. The standard type in here is the one-to-many type. That means we only have, every movie entry has one language, right? That means one language, right? So only one entry for the language. But on the other side, to many, one language here from this table can be used in many movies, right? That is the one-to-many relationship. So every movie will have just one language, but every language has many movies. As many as we want, the one-to-many relationship. It's also sometimes called one-to-n or one-to-x relationship, but one-to-many is my favorite. What we want is also enforce referential integrity. If we have this deactivated, that means we can in our movies select numbers, IDs that do not exist in the language database, in the language table. So we could also choose, right now we have, I think, 6 languages in the language table. We could also choose language number 75, which we do not have in the table. So choose referential integrity to make sure that you can only select entries that are really existing. If you don't do it, you are going to break your database at some point. So I'll do this, I'll click create. And here we can directly see, hey, for a movie, it looks like this. For a movie, the language of a movie can only be one language ID. Right? On the other side, every language ID can have an infinite amount of movies. Can be used in an infinite amount of movies. So this is a one-to-many relationship. Let's see what that actually looks like now in our tables here. So let's reopen the movies table. There we have the movies table. I can now choose from a language, right? I also have to open this language table right now to see I have movies 1 to 6. If I want to say a movie should exist in English, right? This one is in English, so I give it the number 1, right? Die Soft is Russian. I check, Russian is 3, so I give it the 3. So because we have turned on the referential integrity, right? The referential integrity, if you remember this here. Because of this, if I want to say, hey, a movie has number 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on. Let's say, hey, movie, you have the number 15. This should not be possible. You cannot add or change a record because a related record is required in the table language. So we do not have a language 15. So we have to choose a language 1 through 6. Let's also choose the 3. This is the one-to-many, right? Every movie, Die Soft has one language. Die Soft 2 has one language. But on the other side, every language can have multiple movies. So you see, language number 3 is used in multiple movies. So yeah, let's say this one is language 6 whatsoever, right? Good. Every movie is only available in one language. Let's assume that is reality. Let's assume that is what it is. Of course, every movie can have multiple languages. We could change that, but that's another example that I want to create now. With the shops. So let's go back to relationships. Right? And we have this one-to-many relationship. That's perfectly fine. The next thing is the shops. Right? Those shops, every shop here for the movies should have one shop ID. Right? It should have one shop ID. So we can drag and drop this here. Right? I will also say, hey, this is referential integrity. Please do so. If you don't do it, you can choose shops that do not exist. So that's a 1-to-n relationship. The database engine could not lock the table movies. So I cannot make changes here because right now movies is still open. You have to close movies first. And now I can make the changes. Force integrity, and there we go. So for every movie, now I have one shop. So let's reopen. Let's save first. Let's reopen movies. And I can now choose the shops. And as you know, we only have 3 shops. So again, I can only choose shop 2, 1, and shop 3. I cannot choose shop 12. Right? It will tell me, hey, shop 12 does not exist. I'll choose shop 3 again. Good. So now we have this, right? Now we have this structure, those relationships between the tables. What we have, right? We had also the short discussion a minute ago. Hey, languages, every movie only one language. That is kind of strange. Right now we have this relationship 1 to many. But we want actually every movie can have multiple languages, which is a many to many, right? Which is a relationship. Hey, you can have an infinite amount. A movie can have an infinite amount of languages. A language can be assigned to an infinite amount of movies. To do this, we actually need one more table. One table that stores information about movies and languages. So where we store movie 1 has language 3 and 7. Movie 2 has language 2 and 4. And so on. Therefore, we will delete this relationship. You see it. You can just click on the line and click on delete on the top or hit delete. Well, permanently delete. Yes, I want to delete it. It's the locked. This is what I don't like. It's the locked. So I close my my tables again. Delete this. Yes, I permanently delete this. So now we have this language and movies. We need to store this information that one movie has multiple languages and one language can be assigned to multiple movies in another table. We have to store it in another table. So let's create a new table. And this table I want to save, and this should be movie language. Yeah, movie language is a good name. In the movie language, I want to go to the design mode on, and there we have 2 identifiers, the movie ID and the language ID, right? Both of these should not be automatic number. Both of these should just be number, because they are referring to the other tables. And now, a little bit complicated, so pay attention. Movie and language ID, they both should be the key. Both of them should be, the combination of them should be unique. So you can select both by either dragging and dropping. You can see I can just drag and drop here in the beginning, or by clicking on one and then hitting Control and clicking on the other column and saying this is the primary key. So now we have a merged key. We have both of them are using, there's a specific name, I forgot the name, but that's a merged key. So the combination of both is unique, right? So that's all we do in this movie language table. So I can close this table again. I will take my movie and language in here, right? So that's the combination now. That's my relationships now. And what I want to do here is every movie has a movie ID, right? Every movie has a movie ID, and that goes in to our movie language database. Right? There we go. And of course, enforce referential integrity. Okay, create. So now we have this link. Right? Now we have this link. Every movie can be saved in this movie language database. And it can be saved, you can see it multiple times. So every movie can have more than one entry in here. Every language, we want the same, right? We want the same, so I drag and drop. this here on the language ID, language ID, language ID, enforce the integrity, create yes. And now you see every language can be put in this table an infinite amount of times. Every movie can be put in infinite amount of times. So we always have a combination of movie and language. Always have a combination of movie and language. So let's see what this will look like. And let's see what this will look like. So I go to my movies and languages. I will also need my movies and my language because there's everything going on right now. In my movies and languages, just by the way, one thing I forgot is, let's close these. In my relations, I have for the movie, I saved the language in before, right? But I don't need it anymore because I'm saving the language here on the outside. So for the movies, the language, I can actually delete the language here. So let's open the movies. Let's go into the design view, and we can always delete the language here. Yes, I want to delete it and I want to save. Now it's saved, and you can see here in my relationships, the language is gone because it's saved in here. So let's open movies, let's open language and movie language. Now, if I want to add, right? If I want to add in movie language entries, I have to check, hey, movies has 4 entries. So if Avatar should have a language, we need to save it in movies language with the identifier, hey, which language should it have? So let's say Avatar is the movie ID 1, has languages 3 and 4. So I can go here, movie ID 1 has language 3, and movie ID 1 has also language ID 4. Right? Because now Avatar, this is Avatar, has Russian and Spanish. Let's say movie number 2 is available in language, is available in language 3. Movie 2 is also available in language 1. Right? So now we can choose the language for every movie. So let's say movie number 3 is, oh, yeah. You always have to put, you cannot add or change a record because a related record is required. This is because there was still the 0 in here. Right? You see it, if I want to click somewhere else, the 0 does not exist in the language table. So I need to select one of the languages that does exist. That's the integrity, right? So this is 6. Let's say movie number, do we still have 4? Yeah. Simpsons the movie is available in number 1. Yeah, I know. Sorry for clicking the wrong place. 2 and also 3. Right? And this is now a collection which movie has which language. Right? Good. Let's get to the last thing here. Let's get to the last thing, the relationships. There's just one thing I want to explain. We have keys, right? You see this key symbol? This key symbol has a name here, the movie ID. If there's a key, this is the primary key. So there can only be one movie ID. The same movie ID can only be once in movies. So movie 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the same here in shops. Only shop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, only one of them. Here language ID, only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, only one of them. Then we have here in movie language, we have the primary key, there's actually 2. Right? This was called, I forgot what it was called. Give me a second. This was called a compound key. A compound key means a composition of 2. Right? A combination of 2 or more is unique. So if I have movie 1, it can have language 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but it cannot have language 2 twice or more times. So it's a unique combination of those 2. That's a compound key. The last key that we are using here is, you can see, the primary key of shops is connected to shop in movies through a so-called foreign key. A foreign key means we are looking in our table movies, we are looking at a key from another table. So we're looking at a foreign key, ein Fremdschlüssel in German. We are looking at a Fremdschlüssel, at a foreign key of another table. So That's 25 minutes. That was way longer than I wanted to talk about. In the next video of our series, we are going to talk about formulas, where we actually put in the data in here in our tables. Because right now, if we want to put in a new movie language, that's kind of silly to put in the numbers. If we want to add a new movie, it's kind of annoying to get here a new name, Gladiator. It is kind of annoying to always go through this and say all these, right? This is kind of stupid, actually. So we want a formula. We want a sheet of paper, basically, where we put in the data in a convenient way, because no one's going to use it like this. But that's the next video, so stay tuned for it. This was way too long. 25 minutes, way too long. I'm sorry for this, but a lot of important information in it. So if this is any helpful, leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned. Check out the playlist. Check out my panel. I don't have a panel. Check out my channel for more infos, more videos, and I'll see you in the next video, which is about creating and putting data in here in an efficient way. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye.